In this episode of the Pourcast, we have a marketing maestro who's steering the ship at One Plant, the go-to weed dispensary in California. Today's guest is the director of marketing at One Plant, where they're not just selling weed products, they're curating experiences. From top shelf flowers to scrumptious edibles, they've got the stash for every vibe. With locations spread across 8 counties, they're not just about business, they're about community. Join us as we dive into the world of cannabis marketing with our special guest. We'll uncover the secrets behind keeping each spot inviting, staying ahead of the ever-changing trends, and creating killer partnerships with top cannabis brands. Get ready to toke up some insights into cannabis marketing, the cannabis community, and what makes One Plant stand out in a competitive market. Tune in and elevate your marketing game with insights from our special guest, Jared Samakosky. We talked about this earlier before we started recording, but you said your first job was at Endless Summer?
In Santa Barbara,
In Santa Barbara.
Yeah, when I moved
not
here.
your first job in general, but first job in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, when I moved here in like 2006-ish, 2007-ish, I had a buddy, his name's Davey Smith. He's my boy, my good homie. I've known him since I was like 13, 14. He went to UCSB, and when I moved here, it was all about like, hey, I need a job. And one phone call to his buddy, and he hooked me up down at the harbor. So,
And you started as a busser?
I started as a busser and ended as a busser. The food service life wasn't for me. But looking back, I didn't really realize what I had at the time and how like sacred the harbor was to Santa Barbara, because I was so fresh to SB. And if you told me then in 2006 I'd be here in 2023, I wouldn't believe you. So knowing what I know now is pretty much why I'm so proud to still be in Santa Barbara and hold this locality here tight to my heart, even though I'm not from here. I always say like I pay enough in rent to claim being a local.
You seem like a local. Yeah, you seem like a local.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here through my 20s and 30s, and I'm 38 now, so like that's when you really grow up. So I owe a lot to the city of Santa Barbara and the support it's given me for sure.
What initially brought you to Santa Barbara?
School, city college.
City college?
Yeah, typical same idea that everyone comes up here and goes to Isla Vista and lives 3 days of their life high on drugs and drunk as fuck and thinking this is the end all be all. And yeah, that's where I want to leave. That's where I want to move. And, you know, you typically get those sort of feelings when you go on vacation. If, you know, like New York's a big, you know, spot, like people go to New York, like myself included, for one or two, you know, times they're like, I gotta be in New York. It's like that vacation high is like what you think living in that city is gonna be like. Santa Barbara, I think, is a lot more attainable for people because it's, if you're in California, you can go there and you don't have much to lose, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Santa Barbara's been good to me, man. I've been able to meet a good core of friends. Some have come, some have gone. You know, even you yourself, I've only known you for 3-4 years, but you know, we've been able to form a pretty good friendship in
I would say so.
that amount of time.
Yeah.
You're the homie.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. What happened after you left like the restaurant industry? What was your next move there?
The next move there is kind of what propelled me to where I'm at now. I got a valet parking job at the Canary Hotel,
Okay.
which is downtown Santa Barbara here. I valeted in San Diego for like maybe close to a year when I was like 20, downtown near the gas lamp over there, like on the Embarcadero. And then, yeah, I was able to find a valet position here with this company that I used to work for. And then I kind of just progressed through there. So I was a valet. And then, you know, a lead position opened up there managing. And so the valet in Bellman. So I got into that. And then I had moved away back to San Diego for a year, thinking, you know, my time in Santa Barbara was up. The 2.5 years, 3 years was fun. But, you know,
Back home,
yeah,
right?
no more hospitality.
Yeah.
Got to figure out my next move. City college didn't really work out. So I moved back home, which was cool. San Diego's, you know, where the heart is, where the family is, or where was the heart was. But now, yeah, you know, every single day I was there, I just miss Santa Barbara. And the guys that I used to valet for kept on telling me like, hey, we'll have a position for you in operations if you come back. So it was a pretty big operation that they were running at the time. It was like 20 ongoing hotels, hospitals, restaurants here in Santa Barbara, Montecito, and then like 350 annual events a year. So, I mean, you do the division on that between 52 weeks. Like, you know, there's sometimes 15, 18 events a day. Then I was lucky enough to gradually move through that just by people coming and people going, and I was operating the entire company at that point at 24 years old. So
nice.
I had like 80 to 100 male dominant, you know, valet attendants that were primarily 18 to 22, 24 years old. So I mean,
soldiers.
I mean, some were soldiers and some were fly-by-nights, you know, like, and that's the thing, like, where I'm trying to get at, like, it was, it's where I learned a lot that put me where I'm at today with managing people and personalities and having to bite your tongue at some points and letting a kid skip making, you know, his shift because he got like too fucked up the night before, and knowing I was once that kid fucked up, but I still showed up for work, you know, like, but you know, if he's a good worker and you know, I'm
you
trying
pick
to
and
say,
choose your battles, like
pick and choose your battles, exactly. So, yeah, but it really gave me the foundation of how to manage people, and I think me personally, I was kind of born with that sort of gift. Some people are musicians, some people are artists, some people are, you know, good at what they do, and like I think my gift was people and the way I get with people, and you know, some might call it judgmental, but like I get a feeling and a read on a people like once someone enters the room, just like, you know, I'm a very body language person, I'm a very eye contact person, so as I look away and say that, but you know, like and that's how I interview people, and I don't interview people on experience, I interview people on personality and if they're the right fit for what operation we have going on at the time. So yeah, valet, I owe a lot to that. Like if you ever seen the movie Casino, which is one of my favorite movies, Casino, there's a point where the narrator, who's Robert De Niro, says like, you know, the valet was the man. You went to the valet for anything. You went to the valet for drugs. You went to the valet for hookers. You went to the valet for restaurants. You went to valet to see what poppin' spots are going down tonight. So, and it's really true. Like you're the first impression of that destination, you know? So, you know, valet was good to me for sure.
Good. And then what was the transition from valet to the cannabis industry then?
So there was another job in between.
If you were running it just like everything was going good, what was that initial jump that made you kind of switch?
I just capped out, you know, like I was 24 when I started. I was like 28, 29 when like actually operating it and having like 7-8 years invested with that company. So time just runs its course, you know, like, you know, my mom, like, she doesn't like change. Like she'll stick with the same job. Like, you know,
it's secure.
As long as she can, it's secure. I like being on the other side of the page, you know, like I like change. I like not knowing what's coming next. I think that just comes with confidence of having changes in the past, you know, like personally and businessly and things like that in business. So, yeah, that's the kind of what gets me going. And when things are too stagnant for, you know, 4 to 6 months, like, and I'm kind of getting in one of those boats right now. I'm just like kind of itching and like, what's next? Not at all with this company, but just what more we can do with One Plant, which is what we're going to segment into here shortly. But yeah, I had another job in between valet, and then there was a couple things in between, which was, you know, things that were fun, but not really pressing me the way I wanted to be pressed. And then I've always kind of indulged with, you know, with weed since I was 17, 18 years old. And, you know, traditionally somebody always had to get it somewhere, so why not hook my homies up? And it kind of started from that, of smoking for free and then making some money, and, you know, starting from an ounce, getting to a quarter pound. And these are the days when you could actually get in trouble for it. And, you know, so I still keep it gangsta like that. Don't want to speak too much on those days.
Do you remember, did you ever get like a medical card?
Yeah, so Santa Barbara, Haley Street, which is now Good Tide Smokes, or sorry, Gutierrez, which is now the Good Tide Smoke Shop. It's a great guy, Will. If you guys know Will blows good glass, and it's a cool shop. It's right on the corner of Gutierrez and Anacapa, I believe. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it?
I think it's a block up. It's by REI. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's right by REI. High Tide.
High Tide.
Yeah, when I say Good Tide, High Tide.
High Tide, yes.
So Dr. Marsh was his name. I remember this guy. I had left where I was valet parking at the time on my break because I knew that this doctor was going to be in their back of their room, which was where they blew glass. And I just went there and I paid like $160.
And he got a medical card?
And I got my medical card from Dr. Marsh, who was in like a tie-dye like Jerry Garcia shirt. And then they just sent me out back, and on the Cuddy side of the right-hand side on Gutierrez right there, which that door is still there to this day, was just like a trap shop. And like, so I went in there and they just had jars of bud. And yeah, I mean, the Prop 215 days in Santa Barbara were great, man. Like they had a lot of dispensaries on all over the town, Haley Street, Pacific Greens. There was one in the El Mercado on Upper State called Helping Hands, where my buddy Chris Bowler works at.
I remember that one, yeah.
Chris is a good guy now too, who actually it works with one of the companies that we're heavily affiliated with, and we sell a lot of, called Lowell Farms.
Lowell, yeah.
Yeah, pretty familiar if you guys know it, the branding with the bull and the cardboard box. So yeah, Chris used to run Helping Hands there, and it was funny one day when we were opening up the dispensary here in Santa Barbara, the one prior to this, he had come up in the training and just like popped up, and it was like funny. I didn't see him in like 3 or 4 years, and I was like, holy shit, that's the guy from Helping Hands. And now he's one of our, you know, my favorite vendors to work with, and, you know, he makes money, we make money, and we're all, you know, successful together.
Small industry, huh? And so you've been in this industry for how long now?
I'm going on close to like 4 years. I mean, when it went legal in California, basically, it's been kind of like a meteoric rise through that, those operations where it's been like 5 dispensaries in the last less than close to 4 years that I've been either heavily affiliated in opening or assisting with, from 2 in Santa Barbara, 2 in Lompoc, and then 1 in Palm Springs as well. So all of them in different adventures, and I call them that because they're all these different things that you do to set up the store. Obviously we try to merch it out so the brand looks right, but some are big, some are small, so as far as like location goes, so they're all different ideas, but it's fun to get creative and see your vision come to life.
When I met you, we were working at the same dispensary, and it was here in Santa Barbara.
You mentioned it, not me.
No, yeah, I mentioned it. It was all me. It was all me. We could even beep it, but I don't care. But I met you there at a dispensary, and when I met you, what was your title at that point? Because I came in just as a bud tender, at floor staff.
Dude, perfect question. So great question. So it's funny you asked that, and you probably know the answer to that. But dude, I was just a bud tender. The spot had been open for maybe 4 weeks, and in you walked in, like, I don't know how, because I'm not the most patient person. Like, you and I started talking, and I actually trained you as a bud tender. So, and you got it, bro. And it was funny. There was one time, like, where you, like, an hour or two after, like, I started training you on products and just things like that, I let you run my drawer. And I remember one time, like, you put some money in my drawer, and, like, me being me, like, there was, like, 1's upside down and, like, 5's not this way. And I was just like, yo, dude, if you're going to keep my money, like, I'm like, keep my money right. I want all my money facing the right way, all clean, because, sloppy money doesn't make money. I remember telling you that, and you were just fun to train, dude. You got it. I mean, we're not, doing rocket science out there, but you were reminding me a lot about you. You only had to tell you once, And I remember that, and there was actually one point too where, because at that point we'd only been open for 4 weeks, and we lost one of our assistant managers, and that spot was available. Like, that assistant manager spot was available. They hadn't plugged it yet, and they were looking internally to plug it. And everyone kind of came forward and was like, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. And that's the job I applied for at the time. But my OG homie now named Ryan, who
shout out.
Ryan Bashara. A lot to that guy. We could talk more about him. But when he interviewed me to come on board at that former dispensary, I applied for that position. And, with my management experience in the past, it didn't work out all because I didn't have the cannabis experience, So him and I still had hit it off, and he's just like, look, bro, I'm going to offer you this. Like, I suggest you just get your foot in the door. If you enjoy it, we'll see where it goes. And then that position was available at the time, because that dude just bounced. And that day I remembered actually showing you how to cash out of a drawer. And Ryan's never in that room, because that was like the room that we counted and broke down the money.
The private room, conference room. Yeah.
For some reason, he was just there. And, like, I'm a pretty observant dude, and I just, like, remembered laying that down with you and, like, showing you how to break it down so well. And I could see him, I could feel him looking at me, explaining to you. And at that point, I was like, I could tell, like, I was like, this guy sees what I'm doing and putting you on, and, like, how clear I am to the point. And, like, I was like, I know he's going to call me in and, like, offer me this position in the next 24 hours. And I think it was, like, 35 minutes after that, maybe 45 minutes after that conversation with you, he pulled me in his office. And I was like, I know this is going to go down. I know he's going to ask me this, and it's funny, I don't really think of that sort of stuff. I have a crazy memory for, like, as much weed as I smoke. Like,
So you're very detailed, because you remembered the money, and I was like, okay, now that you said that, I 100% remember that. But I would, if you asked me that, I'd be like,
I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning. Like, I can't remember. Well, like,
certain specific things.
Yeah, man. Like, when I start thinking about things, and I haven't thought about that for a while, and it's cool to think about that, because, it just brings a little bit of, humbleness and
back to your roots.
Yeah,
like
or just not forgetting where you're from, and just, understanding that only 3.5 years ago, I took a job for $16 an hour or $15 an hour at the time, like, just to get my foot in the door. But, like, it's okay to be confident also, and know, like, and be humble at the same time, knowing, let's bite this, let's take this lead to get in there, because, a real one's gonna see, the light, not at the end of the tunnel, but through the tunnel, and, like, continue to go forward, like, and I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just a realist.
You're being real about it, and I appreciate that. And it's funny to hear that when you were training me, I didn't know that you were also about to just step up to the next position. Because when you're saying you're teaching me how to cash out, and we're going through this stuff, like, really Ryan's watching you to see how you operate when you're over here training me, and I'm like, it's day one, I don't even know what's going on. You're low key having an interview too where he's saying, okay, he's being observant and watching you and seeing how you operate and what your style is, which is pretty funny.
It was fun, man. It's good to look back on that sort of stuff now, because I mean, over that time there's been so much so quick, and that's kind of the industry that we're in. Is it's for everyone, whether you're succeeding or not succeeding, it just continues to go like this, like, you know. And what I mean by that is new brands and new SKUs and new products like every single day. And
which is another question I had for you too. I mean, there's two of them that I have right off the top, but how do you stay up on the new trends and what's kind of the new thing?
I think, like, to answer your question, it's based on demographic and locality, and as far as California goes, like Northern California and Southern California can be completely two different states. Like, there's things that sell in California and Southern California that will not sell in Northern California, brands or products, you know? So I think staying relative to knowing, like, your market.
Your area, yeah,
is one. Income of that market as well. Demographic, race, all that sort of stuff, because there's so many minority companies in the industry today. Like, you know, you got your Hispanic owned companies, you got your African American owned companies, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. And those are minority holders for many reasons, you know. So maybe in, you know, a demographic where there's a high Hispanic rate, you might want to take on some Hispanic brands, you know. In, you know, Northern California, where, you know, like wax and concentrates are huge, you might want to, you know, focus on that and broaden that. Flower will always be king. Cartridges are right behind it. But it's really just staying having your ear to the street. I mean, Instagram's huge for that, to see what's going on. Everyone's biting someone's style. It's who's going to hit it first. Like, it was infused pre-rolls. It's infused weed. Now it's like, what I'm holding here is a 2 gram, like, you know, joint with rosin in the middle. And it was just like one person who claimed they started it. Now it's like 62 people. You know, I'm just throwing an arbitrary number out there, but like, who just are like, oh, I got hash holes. So it's really just staying relevant to the market. But it is tough because it does move, if not month to month, week to week.
Is there a specific day, or let's say you set a time aside in a month and say, hey, I'm going to do some research, or I'm just going to check and see what
every day.
Every day? So you do it every day. Okay.
Every day, whether it's Weed Maps, Instagram, even, you know, calling. A lot of vendors that I've built great relationships with call me to ask me what's hot on the market. So a lot of them, I return that same phone call. I'm like, well, what's hot on your market? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So it's not like inside information. Like, it's not that good, but it's just generalizing, like, what's going on, what are you hearing about, what's selling well, you know. And there's often times where, you know, a flower company will come to me and want to do something infused, and I'm just like, dude, stay what you're good at. Like, I know you have to diversify yourself and things like that, and I'm totally all about that, but, you know, if you know you're good at one or two things, then stay in those one or two good things.
Focus on that.
Yeah. Because there's going to be a lot of loss, you know. There's a lot of money that goes into the labor. There's a lot of money that goes into the packaging of the flower. There's a lot of money. And if the R&D is not, like, 100% done, there's been companies that, like, you know, nearly, it's like almost basically like a recall on a car.
So,
you know, like, don't sell that shit, send it back to us, or just pass it out to your staff, you know?
Have you had that experience?
Yeah,
and I'm only asking because it seems like it.
Yeah,
but
100%. Like, you know, you'll sometimes often get some products, and they're not usually manufactured. So it's like, I say manufactured, it's not cartridges, it's not wax. Like, but oftentimes it could be something like this that I'm smoking right here. These are actually great, but it could be something just like this that's rolled too tight, or they haven't smoked enough and had enough research and development to know that these tips aren't, like, you know, the right tips, but these tips are like, dude, check these out. So I mean, but, you know. Obviously, I'm not going to throw any companies under the bus.
No. Yeah. They could remain nameless. But have you made that mistake of buying something and it doesn't sell, or you're like, oh, I thought this was going to hit a lot differently than it did?
Yeah, there's
Thank you, brother.
There's things, dude. Nowadays, man, like, there's the market's so saturated, and there's so many products out there that, like, I would be surprised to hear, like, that one sort of, or, like, you know, more than 4 or 5 companies, like, kill it. And by kill it, what I mean is this: like, you walk into a dispensary and you ask for something.
Well, have you had that,
like,
have you had that experience where people are coming in
asking for brand loyalty?
Specific, yeah.
There's 100% brand loyalty. I mean, this is probably the biggest company that has like brand loyalty towards it. I couldn't tell you why. Like, they're not paying me to put this here. Like, I wish they were, but they're not. But this is sponsored by One Plant. If you guys don't know right now,
One Plant show sponsored by One Plant. Thank you guys.
So yeah, I forgot the question. What was that again?
No, I was saying if you bought a product that didn't sell like you thought it would.
Yes. I mean, dude, nowadays it's just like, I don't know how confident I am on taking anything new.
Really?
You know, yeah. Like, and
it's got to be a bigger brand, maybe, or
no, it doesn't have to be a bigger brand. It's just like there's so many moving concepts to it, right? Like, it's oversaturated. There's so many competitive brands in a competitive marketplace. And marketplace by, I mean, pricing, you know. So they're like, oh, okay, you know, I'll sell it to you for this price, and it's like, okay, so I appreciate you, you know, giving it to me at that price that like you were able to negotiate. But what that happens is it puts you into a category of the same quality of flower with 8 to 10 other companies that are still battling it out right here. So do you want to be the 9th or 11th? Because what's going to separate you from them choosing you? Like, a lot of you are sourcing it from the same person anyway and branding it yourself.
Yeah.
Just like grapes.
Yeah, which makes total sense now. In Santa Barbara or Goleta, our area, what would you say? Are people more focused on quality or quantity?
Quantity.
Quantity?
Yeah, quantity depending on, again, like age, I think is a big thing. Obviously, like, income's a big thing. You see a lot of people like my age and your age, 30s, you know, early to mid to late 30s that are coming in looking for like legacy brands and indoor flower only, and they want good nug structure and things like that. And then you also, I mean, we're located a mile away from UCSB, so it's volume.
Yeah.
And those kids are also 18 to like 20, you know, 22. So, you know, they were only 14 to 18 when this shit got legalized. Like, they don't even know what top quality flower is. Like, it's like if they only found out what alcohol was when they were 14 and not like 6, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like there is no natural light there, you know, and all of a sudden like natural light and Keystone's flooding the market. That's what's happened. It's just been flooded. The market's been flooded with a lot of more affordable weed, which is what people want. I get it. But it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Like, we have analytics on things and we see what things are doing in California, and there's websites out there and things that you can participate in for a fee that will give you some crazy analytical data. And I think like 73% of California transactions are like under $20.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is very crazy.
So even if you're seeing 400 people a day, 500 people a day, which is insane, like a lot of dispensaries, if you're seeing 120 to 150 people a day, you're probably stoked. Mm-hmm. We're blessed where we're at. We're seeing a lot more than that.
I was going to say, your guys' volume seems a lot busier than that. Like, if you were to tell me a dispensary is banking or hoping to get 100, 150 people a day, I'd be like, that's doable, but maybe it's just the area that I feel like we're in.
Yeah, I mean, Santa Barbara doesn't have many dispensaries. They have been popping up a little bit more and more, and we definitely, you know, I think anyone, you know, that puts their ego aside is willing to say that, you know, when something new opens up, people are going to go check it and see what the prices are. And especially in this game, it's very competitive. That's why I like to keep things, you know, always politically correct with like competitors and things like that. Like, don't want to talk shit about any competitors. Don't want to, you know, badmouth anyone.
I will. No.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, the homies are going to ride. But for me, like a smart business guy is like to try to think long term and be like, you know, for instance, in Goleta, like, we're only allowed to open at 10 a.m. Like, what if, you know, 6 months from now, I'm like, shit, like, I really want to open at 8, like, you know, and then I have to lobby with a couple other, you know, dispensaries around town that I need to get their signatures, or I need them to come to, like, the county and talk to them, or, like, you know what I mean? So for me, I'm thinking long term where it's like, I don't want beef with these people. Like,
you put a target on your head.
Yeah,
like, nah.
Yeah, like, if we all need one another, like, let's all come together so we can, like, spread the money and spread the love. And if that happens to like have to support one another, like, let's keep it like that, you know? It's like, we're not, you know, this isn't fucking New York City like 1987 where like we're fighting over turf, you know?
No,
like,
and
we're all paying tax dollars, so we might as well just like try to find out all.
You
the
guys
successful.
are a collective within itself as far as like being dispensaries or being, yeah, and I get that. But I will say though, I do favor you guys obviously because your prices and your product is is on point.
Yeah,
I've gone to a couple other places in Santa Barbara. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm going to Goleta, or I'll go to Oxnard, but I choose to go to Goleta now.
Yeah, Oxnard just opened up.
I haven't been to the. You guys have one in Oxnard now?
No, but Oxnard just started opening up dispensaries not too long ago.
Safeport.
They were super late to like the whole movement, like just in the last few months. Point Wanimi's got quite a few, but yeah, in Santa Barbara, downtown there's like 2 or 3, and then in Goleta there's only a couple as well. But you might not have caught that because I wasn't speaking their mic. My bad.
It's all good. What brought you to the marketing aspect of the dispensary? Like, how did that form?
Again, same thing, changed. Like what we were talking about just a little bit ago. I was, hustling around and opening up shops with my buddy Ryan and setting up staff and doing back end stuff with this like inventory and things like that. Kind of just all over the place as far as like handling this, handling that, and managing staff. And I kind of got to a point where I just didn't really want to like manage staff. Like I wanted to manage like projects. I wanted to manage like me. I wanted to like manage like if I'm gonna have like a team or people to work with. Like I want a graphic designer who like I brought in, which was a homie in Santa Barbara named Joe Baraldo, who's the man. Beware of the Humans. It's both bitch. BewareOfTheHumans.com. Thanks for the plug. You probably know him if you saw his work around Santa Barbara. You know him, but. For me, it was like, I don't really want to manage kids getting there on time anymore. I don't want to manage breaks. I don't want to like have to, deal with human resources and just like all that sort of bullshit. Like I did that through my 20s. I did that through my early 30s and the other job that I did before this. And like I look back and I probably managed over 3,000 personalities like over my 14, 15 year career of management, which is fucking insane to think about.
Yeah.
And people are fucking crazy.
Oh yeah. So you got the whole works because you have to work with them and you have to figure out how to accommodate or how to
It's all about finessing, and like I've learned a lot. Like, the Jared at 23, 24 was just like an aggressive, like thinking like fear, managed by fear would get you what you want. Now it's more like a finesse I've half finesse where I'm just like, all right, like this person is just, not thinking very like rationally right now and things like that. So, but there's a lot of irrational thinking as well. And that's what I wanted to get away from. And I wanted to work on projects again, not people. And I've been able to also keep like a hand in, a lot of like, what brands and vendor relationships I think would work in marketing, which is where I didn't want to take myself out of the equation, of just being some marketing guy behind the computer. My plan was for someone to understand and enjoy marketing and also understand and know the hustle and the business of running a dispensary. And by putting the two together, you can formulate a brain that works for the best promotions and campaigns and unification of a retail chain like us, which is, we have 7 in California, ranging from Santa Barbara as north as Lompoc to all the way up to East Bay. So my biggest project and my biggest main focus when I took this on was unification of a retail chain. Just like if you walked into a Foot Locker in Southern California or you walked into a Foot Locker in Northern California, they would be having the same sales, they would be having the same promotions, whatever images, whatever digital collateral that they had in store would be the same and branded the same. And that's what I've taken a lot of time on trying to nail down.
Since you've opened them, you've tried to keep the vibe consistent with all of them? Because the only one that I've been to is the Goleta location.
I wouldn't say vibe, because that ties down to where you are in location. California, and there's different vibes. I mean, there's a completely different vibe from here to Lompoc, and then if you want to talk about from here to Antioch in the Bay, like that's...
If I were to walk into the Lompoc shop, could I expect the experience to be similar as far as like maybe there's skate videos playing or maybe there's cool hip hop playing, or the setup of the brands and the displays are kind of similar, and like the look where it's very clean aesthetic where everything's white but like clean, you know what I'm saying, modern? Would it look the same?
Absolutely, yeah. So all of our stores do look the same as far as like the build outs, the branding, the shelving that you see that you're probably referring to, that right when you walk into Goleta, you see 5 shelves that are lit up, that are, in the wall. That's the same. Yeah, we have those shelves at every location, all but maybe one. And, even last week, 2 weeks ago, I was up at our Castroville location working till, 2, 3 in the morning, revamping the entire showroom. Like it's an old school dispensary kind of type of feel. Like It's, you know what I mean, which is that trap feel, which I like. You know, you go in and
Like it's a fucking glass window and somebody's sitting behind it.
no, not necessarily like that. Just more of like gonna go in. It's like, you know, it's small, and we had all the jewelry cases kind of up against the walls. So what we did is we kind of took all that away. We made an island, and we put slat wall up around it so you could hold stuff. But that still gives the same free kind of shopping. So that's what we were like the first ones to kind of do, I would say, is we had an open shopping concept where, you know, everyone would have a behind the counter concept. You just waited in line and, you know, everything was behind the counter. No one could touch, no one could feel, no one could read, no one could shop. It was just like, it was what we created, what I like to think we created was, you know, the same shopping experience you would have at CVS, Target, anywhere you could touch and feel, which isn't even there anymore. Like, you know, retail's dead. We all know that. We order online. Everyone orders online. But to have people have that shopping experience, to roll around, to do that at their own time. One, you know, there's just a couple different psychology thoughts that go into it for me personally. Like, one, they're not stressed. You know, like, it's kind of intimidating to walk into it, like a smoke shop for your first time. Like, you don't want to look like a dork asking questions. I get that. And people do ask funny questions, you know, and you have to educate. I mean, that's part of the game.
Part of the job, bro. Part of the job, yeah.
You have to train. It's just, but, you know, like, if, you know, people are watching this, if you are intimidated, like, don't come in. Like, we've heard all the, like, the weird, dumb fucking questions you can think of. You know, you're not going to die. You're not going to overdose.
Yeah.
You know, but it's important that the staff's trained appropriately. But yeah, I mean, it's as far as it goes, like, yeah, they're all aesthetically the same. They all, you know, we empower our GMs to play what music they want to play. We have no explicit rules or anything like that. Like, yeah, we might be corporate, but we still have an edge to us. And like, based on, you know, again, what part of the California that we're in, yeah, you're going to walk into the one in Goleta and you might hear Tupac or, you know, some old Biggie. But, you know, if you walk into the one in the Bay Area, you're going to hear some DJ Quick and Smee 40. Like,
yeah,
you know, and some just hyphy shit like that as well, you know? Even though DJ Quick's from the West Coast, like, you're still going to hear it up there because that's what they vibe with. And that culture is live. There's still a lot of culture within those cities, and there's a lot of culture in, you know, the weed game as well.
Mm-hmm. So the one closer to San Francisco, is that one doing pretty well up there?
Yeah, that's our other flagship store, which is in Antioch.
Okay.
Antioch, California, deep in the East Bay. So that's our flagship store, and the Goleta's our flagship store, and then all the ones in the middle. So we have Lompoc, we have Salinas, Castroville, Santa Cruz, Atwater, and Antioch. So those are 7 operational. We have 9 licenses that we hold.
Okay.
1 in Palm Springs and 1 in El Sobrante, which aren't operational now, but we still hold them. And you know, if, you know, fingers crossed, hopefully within, you know, the next year or 18 to 24 months with a lot of consolidation happening, like hopefully our portfolio goes from 7 to 14, 21.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
That'd be super awesome, especially in Palm Springs. I think that'd be really cool.
Palm Springs is a tough market.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's saturated. It's just saturated.
Really?
Yeah, and touristy. You know, it gets so hot there 6 months out of the year that business is slow for people. But you know, it's all about the consolidation that's going to happen. You know, and for some, you know, it's going to be beneficial, and for some, they're going to lose everything that they put in on it. But, you know, life's a gamble, business is a gamble, and investments are a gamble.
Yeah.
For the ones that want to sit back and cry about it, you know, business is business. People have been losing money on investments for years.
And I like how you put it, because it's, again, business is business. If you can pull it off, you can pull it off. So it's kind of balls in your court when it comes to that. Just to go back, there was something you said that made me think of a question, but you're talking about the staff being trained on how to educate like or guests that come in, because they're going to get a product and they're going to take it home and maybe not know. So they don't want to ask dumb questions. But I remember one time when I was working at the dispensary that I met you, there was a group of ladies who came in, and there were 3 older ladies, middle-aged, let's say like mid-60s. But they came in and they bought edibles, and they were saying they ate them on an empty tummy, and they each ate 3, and they were 10 milligrams each, and they don't ever smoke weed. So they're not even... So I was like, first thing in my head was, who the fuck sold this to you? Like, who did not explain this? Because
it was me?
Yeah, no, I have no idea if it was you. But when they told me this story, I was laughing because I was still new at the job. You know what I mean? Like, something had happened like that. But do you have any memorable experiences where it's like dude, this one time this person came in and they said this or they bought this or they just acted erratically. Because I know a lot of the times at the dispensary we were at, we'd get the homeless people come in and they would always be kind of sketch. Like, so we'd have to keep an eye on them, and we had security, but it was never never a big issue.
Nothing's at this new spot in Goleta. It's mellow. It's mellow, super mellow.
Everybody, like, everybody knows the drill.
Yeah, I mean, we dealt with a lot of homeless people or bums in downtown Santa Barbara, and we had that little ledge right there that I used to call Crackhead Island.
That was sick, right?
And they just hibernate right there. Yeah. Over here we're pretty fortunate to just be in like a mellow spot. We're in, again, off like 290 Stork Road in Hollister, Stork Village, next to the Target out there, and there's a lot of parking. There's not any transients that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and again, like, I mean, we're not running like a police station over there. Where we want to be liked by the public. We want to be liked by everyone around us. So if there's a homeless person out there that is begging people for money for a joint, like, sure, I'll buy a joint and like just go give it to the guy. Just hook him up with a joint. Yeah. Like, if anything, like, take care of our parking lot, bro. If anyone's fucking around, let me know. Take care of it yourself.
Outside security, they're kind of watching the shop. Yeah.
So we're not out there to the last thing we're trying to do is call the cops. That's the last thing I'm trying to do is talk to a cop.
That's cool. Build those relationships of being about the community.
Yeah.
Keeping that relationship with the community.
Yeah, we love the community, and we really love the Santa Barbara community, and working and sponsoring and doing all sorts of stuff that we can to support people and show our love out here.
Yeah, that's what's up. Are you in charge of the social media accounts for your dispensaries, or just
I am. The GMs, the general managers, kind of have a lot of input and handle it. I mean, it's 7 different accounts. Running an account for a cannabis company or a dispensary is real dicey because anything you can put can be flagged. It's usually flagged probably, I think, by like a hater, someone that just doesn't want
competitor.
So there's just very, very slippery slope on what you can put and what you want to put, and sometimes you got to hibernate for a week or two after you put something else on because you don't want to be like too hot on the scene and stories versus posts and but I think you as great as Instagram is for free marketing and how much of a role it plays in the demographic of cannabis consumers, weed consumers of the age of 18 to 65, like, if they really had thought about it and it did hopefully one day go federally legal, like, everything's all about money. Like, let's be real. If Instagram could do it and charge us a fee, like, I would fucking do it, and I would pay a premium, and I don't care if that's $75,000 to $100,000 a month. So you're saying that's what WeMaps might be charging some people.
But you can't run ads because you're a dispensary?
We can't even advertise promos on a story or a post.
Oh, okay.
We can't even say, come in, buy one, get one free today on, Tyson 2.0 or on Ember Valley, or buy 2 8s and get the third for $1. We can't even advertise any of that.
So you're basically, from what I've seen, the promo videos that I have seen, you're doing a lot of these pop-up events, not pop-up events, but you're physically at an event or at a place, repping the company and repping products and stuff like that, because that's a more legitimate way to go about it. You're not going to get necessarily...
It's legitimate. Who's going to be able to... it's just more of guerrilla marketing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
so it's two different takes on it. Yeah,
I'm all about guerrilla marketing. Like, I'm all about, like I said, all about Instagram and all about social media, but it's all about guerrilla marketing, especially in a small town where we live here. And I wish I could take that same model and apply it 7 other times throughout the state. It's not. That's probably the biggest challenge of this industry is figuring out how to market, what to buy, and how to get it to the marketplace throughout the logistics of the state, and that just has to do with, again, the demographic, because it really is, like I said, 30 miles, 40 miles, 60 miles can differentiate one brand from being successful to another brand's failure.
Right. Well, is the policies and stuff like that different in the Bay Area, like for Antioch? There's
different policies as far as like municipal regulations. That might be hours of operation, but as far as the state goes, they're all pretty much the same.
Because I'm wondering, like, if a bunch of dispensaries in San Francisco are just posting on their stories, like maybe they are just doing what you're saying, like promo and stuff like that.
No,
are they not as worried about it because again, the market's super saturated, where they're like, well, we're all going to get hit then because everybody's doing it, so we're just following suit. Like we're in Santa Barbara, there's only a select few.
Instagram
So if you break the rule, like you might get flagged, like you're talking about.
No, I mean, you got to know how to run the system. You know, like no one's pushing it. No one in any county or any state is pushing Instagram as far as the selling of cannabis. Like if you look on any brand's bio, it will be like not for sale. You know, every single one.
So dirty, not for sale, but
and
check it out.
You have to do it, and you have to have a private account, and so there's rules to running it. And some of them have 60, 100, couple 100,000 accounts. You know what I mean? Like there could be some personalities or dudes that are endorsed, that have 1 million or 1.5 million followers, and they're smoking weed on there every single day, and that could get flagged down as too, but they're not because they become a personality and they become their own brand, but it's not brand for sale. It is not a dispensary that sales, but it's a brand that he's created that he's allowed to promote, which is fucking genius. Like, hats off to that dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or lady. God, dude, you gotta throw that out.
That gets me to ask you another question about like working with other brands. So, like, say you have a great brand that you're working with, and you want to promote or help inform your clients or your patients that, hey, this is who we're working with, or who we're affiliated with. We like to work with them, promote them as well. Like we had some gummies earlier, and those were really nice. They were little ears.
Oh yeah, my God.
So like, how do you go about marketing in that aspect if you're like, okay, I'm kind of limited on Instagram?
There's a couple components that go into that. Heavy in-store marketing. Like if you go into any of our locations, and this includes the aesthetic commercial and question that you had asked earlier, we have TVs everywhere. Mm-hmm. And we have menus for pre-rolls, we have menus for flour, we have menus for edibles, wax, cartridges, everything you can think of. And we also have tons of promotional TVs. So those promotional TVs are collateral that we either receive from brands and vendors to put up on there, or I have my graphic designer create and put stuff on there that might be for deals and promotions that we're running for that day or that week or that month. However, the best direct-to-consumer that I see and we get our biggest ROI on is our loyalty program 100%. So our loyalty program is basically you sign up by phone number. We have an app as well that you can download on the App Store or Google Store. Just look for One Plant. If you guys are listening, thank you. And the loyalty point's great. You sign up, you get money back for every dollar spent. You get a point back that you can rack up anywhere from $5 to $35, $25, $45. But what's better than that, if you sign up for our loyalty program, we always have direct-to-consumer SMS and text message blasts. So that's one thing that I control as well. I'll send out, SMS and text messages blasts. Like for those of you that don't like them,
I get them. I get them.
I don't send them that too often. I don't send them that often. Once a week max, 2 if there's a holiday. But it's important that, you stay relative to your consumer, but you also don't blow them up because just text no, just send back. Like, I look at how many opt-outs there are every campaign, guys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. And how is it?
It's low.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't bombard people with it,
Yeah.
And, I have so many, it's just like the old school cell phone plans. Like you only have so many credits per month, and if you go over that shit, you're gonna be tagged, right?
Yeah.
With the fat bill. So I've got to budget the credits that I use, but I use them for good promotions and things like that.
So you know when to use them.
Yeah.
You know when to use them.
Back to the mic bites.
The mic bikes. Oh yeah. So tell me more about that collaboration.
This is a fun one. Let me grab these guys. Got a couple. So I got a couple things here from one of our favorite companies, Tyson 2.0. And what these are for those of you that remember Mike Tyson, these are called the Mike Tyson Mike Bites. They're 10 milligram, 100 milligram bag gummies. And these are our ears molded with the bite taken out from his infamous boxing bout with Evander Holyfield back in the 90s. And
thank you, sir.
Him and Holyfield were able to make amends, and make money as well. So this is from our friends at Tyson 2.0. They're gummies. These are delicious. And we also got some flour from them too. So this is Exodus from Tyson 2.0.
You have been pretty involved in the community at certain events. Like I think I saw a promo video for you at the Solstice parade or event at the park. How often do you do these pop-up shops or like in-person setups?
I mean, I think that's kind of the name of the game to be relevant. We're all over the place. I would say like probably 1 to 2 at least a quarter of the year. So maybe 8 total. And that could be anything from, setting things up in the parking lot at our shop in the actual parking lot where I file a permit from the city of Goleta. We throw like vendor villages where they all come out, which will be happening on September 30th for our UCSB Welcome Back Party.
Yeah, shout that out. Yeah, shout that out.
UCSB Welcome Back Party, September 30th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like we have over 20, vendors planned. We'll have live music. We'll have food, giveaways, all goodie bags and stuff like that. But we also reach out to, a lot of resources that I've been able to, create in the last few years of being in Santa Barbara, with whether it's friends that do event production or friends that own clubs downtown or friends that might have nonprofits like my buddy Jairo, who's got an after school nonprofit for boxing out in Goleta for kids that he trains for boxing, and kids and youth that might be on the wrong path that need to connect and
have something good influence.
Yeah, instead of like staying on the street corner and fucking around till 6 or 7 o'clock at night. At 3 o'clock they're in the gym and they're kind of boxing and learning a little bit of discipline. So anything that I think, honestly, like, not to sound corny, but something that more like I believe in that kind of touches my heart in this community, I would prefer to give back to, rather than just being, another sponsorship or advertisement in, any, magazine or pamphlet or something like that.
Yeah, and speaking of sponsorships, like you sponsored the show, which is appreciated. Really do appreciate that with all this fine product and your time, of course. But I think I heard, I don't know if it's true, but have you sponsored like skaters, or have you sponsored artists, or have you sponsored local talent, and whether it regards to being like in a sport or whatever?
Yeah, bands. We've done stuff with Sideways, which is a local band from Santa Barbara. As far as like skateboarding, like you said, I've been able, and fortunate to kind of like tap into what I grew up on, which is skateboarding and surfing and snowboarding. And fortunately enough, here in Santa Barbara, we have exciting and now new forthcoming wave generation of skateboarders. Like anyone that knows Santa Barbara knows skateboarding, knows Shorties, and knows Sammy Bapp, and knows Brandon Turner and Smolik and those guys, and Church of Skating, of course.
Yeah.
So you yourself probably, that takes you back, you know what I mean?
Like all that stuff that you just said.
Of course. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So, with myself and One Plant giving us the autonomy to do what we want in Santa Barbara, I've been very fortunate to work with the Lighthouse Skate Shop in the Funk Zone, and some of their skaters, Dustin Semenza, Mickey, who used to work there, Alec, and a couple others, So it's great. David Dixon's a great skateboarder too. That's in town. He lives over at the Orchid out in Goleta, which just had their annual Labor Day competition, which we've been involved with and affiliated with once or twice. So yeah, anything that we can give back to and like have fun like in this town. Weed is an enormous factor in the skateboarding, snowboarding, and surfing Southern California culture. And if any of your homies snowboard or skate or surf, they probably smoke weed, but you all got that one that just is like, nah, I don't fucking smoke.
Yeah.
But he just fucking stores a bunch of coke though.
That's something else. Yeah.
That's some other crazy guys. I don't smoke weed.
The crazy alcoholic.
But I'll blow through an 8-ball if I need to. It's like, bro, doesn't that create a little bit of anxiety?
Blacked out all the time. Yeah. Our next question about culture and your shop, and how every shop, I feel like, has a pretty good culture. Like we had talked about it earlier, you have TVs everywhere, but you have skate videos, you might have surf videos, you might have a surfboard in the shop, you might have a cool display representing brand. But the culture, it seems like at your shop, is really cool because you have a diverse crew of staff members, but everybody seems pretty on board with like the program, and it seems pretty casual, pretty fitting for the atmosphere. How did you develop that, or how do you kind of maintain that?
I think it's important to have a diverse crew in sales, like no matter what it is, because there's people that are good at one thing, people are not good at another thing. But if you have enough people, everyone can kind of balance one another out. In the weed game, and it's kind of interviewing people and seeing what they're comfortable with talking about. Like, so I might be talking to someone about, what are you familiar with? What do you feel that do you know about edibles? Do you know about wax? Like that's, most people don't know about wax. So like when I find someone that I know about wax, I'm like, all right, cool. Like you just already put yourself right up at the top of the list. To like finish your fucking sentence. And please don't have a criminal background, and like you're hired. I can deal with the DUI.
They're
armed
educated.
robbery, nah.
Having a diverse crew is really critical.
Yeah,
really key.
And also it's like you might need, you don't need just like the same demographic. I think it's important to have a different demographic of people and just know like what you're interviewing for. And like, again, if one person's good at flower, one good at cartridges, one's good at wax, one's good at edibles, like, you hire those people. But then it comes down to scheduling too, so like I don't schedule much anymore, but my scheduling strategy was, it's just like running of any sort of game, dude. Who do we need that's available that knows one thing that doesn't know another? And how can I plug this person and plug that person?
Well, you start to look at the players and they're like, oh, these two are both the same. Like these two, like they play the same position. Let's say, and you're going, okay, if this person can't work, I would rather schedule them with this person because they'll probably work well together. And I appreciate how you said that because I've been there and I've had to do that. And it's about knowing how to effectively schedule the right. Staff.
I'm not gonna. If there's 3 people working, 2 of them are going to be new hires.
Yeah, on a busy weekend, on a holiday weekend,
on 4th of July.
We're gonna watch them sweat it out now. Yeah.
No, you know what I mean. Like, so you got to know how to strategically place people and who are your bench players, who are your role players, who are your superstars, and who are your max contracts.
Yeah.
In basketball terms.
Yeah, but that's how I think about it too. It's like sports, the positions, and again, key players, leaders, captains. Who do I trust? Who I know is going to get it done? Yeah. Can I count on them? You know what I mean? I bet that's a big thing. Can I? Who do I trust?
Me.
Yeah.
That's who. Scarface quote. You guys don't know. I mean, dude, like I said, kind of back, like in the middle of our session was, hopefully in the next, year or so, or even, before that, like we find out 3 more locations and we grow as a company. We grew so fast for so long, and we hit a little bit of a stagnant point in the last, I would say, year, so my voice is cracked, year, and edit that right, please. Yeah. And just be able to continue to grow. Like I love what I do. Wherever the journey might take me. Like, I'm realistic as how business is, and if I got an offer tomorrow that was better for me and my life, like I'll highly contemplate it and consider it. But if it were up to me, I would see this company grow and stay here for the next 5 to 10 years and see where it happens. See what happens.
Cool, man. I was gonna say, so where can people find you guys if they want to connect?
We're located on 290 Stork Road. Right next to Lily's and Target. You can find us on Instagram, oneplantcolita.ca.
Weed Maps?
Weed Maps, you can find us, weedmaps.com.
I want to see what's up with that menu on Weed Maps or what?
Menu's live. Menu's live. You can order for pickup, delivery, 7 days a week. So we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Deliveries from 11 to 6, and pickups from 10 to 8. So, put your orders in, find your plug, and come see us at one.
Buy a hoodie, support the brand.
Get a hoodie, what I mean? Like,
do it.
You don't have to buy it. If you spend enough, you might just get one.
You might even see me in the shop standing in line.
UCSB Welcome Back Party, September 30th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you all for coming. And let's end it with a little clap. Golf clap.
Wrap it up.
Good shit.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.